YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, and if you guys are new to this channel, I'm an ex-world champion Call of Duty player, and now the head coach of Atlanta FaZe, which is the professional franchise for the CDL Pro Call of Duty, and I am here to give you the basic hardpoint guide on spawn knowledge, some power positions, and just the overall knowledge to get you better at hardpoint, to enjoy your ranked experience a little bit more, and to get yourself some more kills so you kind of understand where the enemy is coming from. If you enjoyed this kind of video or tips and tricks in general of anything Call of Duty, a lot of ranked play coming on this channel, and also some Warzone movement, aim, and anything else you kind of need guides, make sure you drop a subscription to this channel, like this video, share it to a friend that needs some help, and let's start off with one of the 5 maps right now in this video, and it's going to be Vault Hardpoint. And the first map that we're going to be starting off with is going to be Vault, and the way we're going to break this down is that each hill I'm going to show you the mini map and these arrows of where they are spawning. Each single hill in a hardpoint has a different spawn system, so the way it's going to work, on your first hill you'll have certain spawn points, and then when it rotates to the second hill there will be new ones, so on and so forth. And then after we go through the hills and the spawn points, I will show you kind of what you should be looking at, and then of course a in-game scenario of me actually playing the game or another professional player playing the game, of kind of what they are thinking when they are playing, to be so aware to obviously get yourself some easier kills and break down hardpoint. Let's start off with Vault P1. And to begin this, we are going to let this play through and show you kind of some of the spawn points before this starts going. Your main spawn points on P1 are going to be on either side of the P1. This is the P4 right now, so this side or the statue side. And then over here is going to be the trophy or the P2 side of the hill. And you're going to see some spawn points over here in trophies, back middle, and then back P2, and kind of the same idea on the other side as well. So as this plays out, you're going to see just kind of how they work and how they are influenced, and there's some cool things to look at here as well. So right now, the whole idea was a little bit mixed up on both sides. Both teams were kind of everywhere. And as this P1 starts to go, you're going to see that the blue team starts to kind of secure this right side of this hill. So that means that the red team should be spawning on the opposite side of the map, because of the fact that the blue team is kind of blocking this area by just naturally being there. So you're going to see that these red arrows now start to spawn up in the back right, and then the blue arrows start to spawn on this side. Now this is all going to be depending on kind of where they're influenced. So you can see number 5 is creeping up this way. And as he starts to creep up this way, the blue team is still going to get spawns on this side of the map because number 8 is kind of blocking this side. But since he's influencing this side, instead of spawning right there, which can happen sometimes because the game can be a little bit broken, they would either spawn back middle or as far away as possible where number 3 spawns right there. So you're going to see. And then as number 6 pushes up, keep in mind right here, number 1 spawns over here when 6 was back here. But as soon as he kind of crosses into this middle line and there's no one really blocking this side of the map, and you have number 5 pushed up, you're going to see that the next blue arrow, number 2, is actually going to spawn out behind them. And that is because of the influence of number 5 and, of course, number 6 not backing up and blocking. If number 6 hung back here, then number 2 probably would have still got that same spawn that number 1 got. So the basic idea of this P1 is, depending on where your teammates are influenced and what you are communicating, they'll be coming from either the money side or the trophy side over here, or again, the P4 side or the statue side. And what you really want to lock down is this middle doorway, the catwalk, this lane right here. The catwalk is a very big part. And then, of course, if they go outside through P3 through these open doors, when you are in this P1, you want to really make sure you are breaking down what you need to be watching and where they are from spawning, all by looking at your minimap and understanding where your teammates actually are to be influenced. And it's the same thing here. You can see that number 1 is on this side of the map, and he's kind of just hanging back and blocking some spawns. So number 8 actually spawns out instead of spawning with number 5 because of the influence of number 1. And then as they kind of push up, it starts getting some weird parallels. So really understanding what spawns are open and are available, as well as kind of just where your teammates are, is always going to help you get a lot more kills. Now let's show you what an in-game scenario looks like on P1 of Vault. Okay, so now for the gameplay portion in this in-game thing, we're on the P1. This is a stream clip from me playing Ranked Play and Hardpoint, and you're going to see that right here on the kill feed, there's going to be 3 dead. As I get this 3 dead right here, and we get the 2-piece tree gets this 3rd kill, you're going to read the minimap and kind of process the information along with me. I have 1 guy on my team dead right here. He died. We have 1 other guy in the hill on their side, which doesn't really matter too much. And then on the minimap, this little green square means that one of my teammates spawned to my right, and it looks like the back right, so kind of behind P2. So that 4th guy can either be over here on this side of the map, potentially influencing that, like we just talked about, or kind of in our spawn. But the 3 people that just died, they are going to be influenced to spawn over here, back middle, or probably back right, because of the fact that I'm on the left side of the map and that my teammates are kind of influencing the block over here. You're going to see my next decision here is going to be to slide back, read the minimap, and now I know exactly where they're going to be coming from. And as I turn this corner, I'm going to be able to run into 1 enemy player right there that I'm going to run into a gunfight with, all because of the fact that I kind of knew where they were spawning from. And again, if you pause it right here, you see that on the minimap, I have another teammate spawning there. There is a guy fighting on the hill right here, so we're going to probably try to take this fight. And then we also have to worry about the people that just died. They're going to be spawning up again and kind of taking the same routes, either going around through open, going through this middle doorway, or going through the catwalk. And just overall, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to understand where they are coming from because of the fact that I knew the spawns and I was able to read the minimap. Okay, so now for P2, your main spawn points are going to be kind of like middle, front catwalk, front solo, and then this back area. And you do have a side P2 hill spawn as well, depending on what is being influenced. But as you kind of pay attention to the spawns, just as this hill is playing out, you're seeing that these kills are going down. And now that it's settled down a little bit, you have your middle spawn here because no one on the blue team is pushed up. And as this kind of just goes, the red team is kind of blocking both of these front spawns and the back spawn. So you had that side P2 spawn. But realistically, this P2 is pretty simple as you were playing this through. You're just going to have a lot of spawns where if these back spawns are open and you were kind of influencing and aiming towards the back, you might be spawning them out if no one on the blue team or red team is coming through the front. And that is kind of what happens right now. You can see that there is just a line of red arrows right here. No one's really kind of influencing this block anymore just because they're pushing forward to break the hill. And then they are able to kind of get some kills and draw the first blood to spawn the blue team out over here while they are pushing. But nothing is going to be too crazy. And this is also very readable depending on how well you start to read the spawns and the communication with your teammates. But you're going to keep this playing right now, and you were just going to see the more this hill plays, kind of like what happens of like, you know, what is blocked and whatnot. So the main spawns are going to be in the back here, especially when you're blocking the front. And then the more kills that you get in the rotational time, you have to start worrying about players like number 4 start to take the long route to P3. And obviously number 6 could rotate if he wants to or hit scrap time. But it's not going to be anything too crazy. And to highlight some of the lanes that you want to take note of course, if you were spawning in the back, you really want to make sure that you're watching this like middle lobby entrance right here. It's going to be very, very important through these 2 arches. Of course, you want to make sure you're watching the catwalk too. And then this front lane of front pool is always going to be obviously a very hot spot too. Depending on how you really want to play it, if you can control these cat stairs, you can kind of aim down this way. You can also aim through the front, and you can kind of help through the right too. So this is a pretty big power position on P2. And then if your teammates are sitting in the back and they are blocking, you can definitely go rogue. But once you kind of start getting to the side here and no one's blocking, you know that they can obviously spawn behind you. So that's just something to keep in mind for these P2 spawns on Vault. Let's show you an in-game scenario and move on to the next hill. All right, so now for the in-game scenario, I'm coming off spawn. I'm going to mute this a little bit lower just because I'm thinking subs and stuff right now in the middle of it. I'm not too focused up, but I'm spawning in the back. And if we're going to pause really quick, I spawned in the back. I have 2 teammates over here towards the hill. There's about 20 seconds left. I know you can't really see that. There's about 21 seconds left right now. So if I could take a guess on the kills that we just got, where they're going to be spawning, they're going to be spawning either middle, a little bit farther towards the catwalk middle, or probably towards that solo area as well. So as I kind of come off spawn, I'm able to look at this cross. I don't see anything crossing. We lose 1 fight in the hill, but as I kind of push up, you're going to notice that I kind of take a look at that. I see this guy up top catwalk. I get 1 kill in the catwalk area. And the reason why this is a power position, because now I'm able to slide over here and look at the front lane. And as I'm looking at this front lane, I'm going to be able to secure a 2nd kill as well, and then kind of push out and then hopefully spawn them out. And even this kill right there is always going to be a possible, again, just a person trying to push that through there. And then as I get these kills, I start saying that they probably might spawn out. Their last guy was rotated, and it's just going to be obvious of kind of like what I need to do coming off a spawn and then moving into P3. And now speaking of P3, let's talk about the main spawns on this one. You're going to have a back trophy spawn over here, kind of a back middle spawn over here, and then you're going to have the bottom art spawn, which is going to be basically the main 3 spawns that you really want to know. And when you are playing P3, you're going to be wanting to control the middle lane of this P3, of course, the outer lane of P3 to kind of make sure you can kind of have that crossfire and put a lot of pressure on that street. But a big thing to not forget about is going to be the middle of the map, because you can kind of cut towards P3, you can pinch through the spawns, and you can do a lot of influencing and manipulation of the spawns through the middle as well. So you're going to watch this kind of play out with me right now. And you see that depending on where teams are and, you know, just what the influence is. 6 was pretty far pushed up. He kind of influenced that parallel spawn. Those parallel spawns are very, very possible, where if you do spawn over here, there is a possibility of someone spawning parallel to you depending on how far your teammates are pushed up. So always kind of understanding the minimap of what is going on is going to be very important. And even in this scenario right here, this spawn is completely wide open. Both of them are, because all red arrows are kind of pushed up. So on certain hills where kills do go down, and you, even though you are kind of hard blocking, it's not going to always be a squad spawn as much as it's going to be that, you know, there's going to be so much presence on this side of the map that you don't have enough map pressure to actually control that spawn, and then it's going to be spawning them out too. So you can see that number 3 spawns out due to the fact that they didn't really have too much map pressure in the middle of the map, which is going to be very important on Vault too. So you can see that this is a pretty self-explanatory and basic kill. Nothing too crazy as this kind of plays out. You really want to cut down your middle lanes right here, and you also really want to cut down these lanes too. I would say leading to the far right area of this map is going to be a hot spot kind of when P4 starts to get close to pop around the 18-second mark, or around that 30-second mark is really that rotational time where you want to make sure no one's kind of crossing to that new hill on you. But again, it is going to be very, very heavy middle and very, very heavy on that left street if you're looking for kills in hardpoint ranked. And here for the in-game scenario on P3, you're going to see that I spawn kind of right in front of this art area. So if I'm spawning on this area over here, depending on what's my mini-map, they're probably going to be spawning pretty deep out in the middle of the map. But again, the P2 just ended. There definitely could be some stragglers and rotators through the middle of the map as well. But we're going to be playing this through right here, and you're going to see that I'm going to be able to read some spawns here in a second. So right now, I'm kind of in between of where they're spawning. My teammate comes off spawn over on this side. So now I kind of know exactly where to look. And as I progress up the street, you're going to see kind of, I'm able to just know, hey, if my teammate just spawned art, they're probably going to be coming through that middle and that front area. So I'm able to kind of, you know, push up confidently on this street, get into some power positions and some head glitches. And now I'm able to get a lot easier of kills where no matter how good you are at the game, those aren't hard shots for anybody. And then depending on how the spawns are kind of going to go from here, you're going to pause it as we are spawning. So I have one guy over here still. So most likely that spawn is going to be influenced to be blocked, where we have no one on this side. We just got some kills. They're still probably going to be coming from this side of the map, and this guy does not know what he's doing and just hops in the hill for no reason. He should be playing a kill harder, but that's more advanced tips. And now you're still seeing that I'm kind of just like looking through that area of the map. I die through someone coming through the middle and kind of cutting it to that point. Now, if my teammates were really aware too and they're cutting off middle, you can really do some dirty spawn traps on this map on the P3. Let's move to the P4. And here we have it. We are on the final hill of Vault Hardpoint before we move on to the next map. And we're going to run this through. Your main spawns are going to kind of just be in the back of the P4 area and this like side dirt sometimes. And then on top of that, if you were spawning out on the other side, which is kind of the less preferred side, you will be spawning a lot of the times like in the middle of the map or like this catwalk area, or you can get the front solo spawn too, depending on the influence and what is going on. Now, I will say one thing. On Vault, if you were able to be in the position that the blue team is in, you should be able to soak this hill pretty easily because your main power points are going to be, or your power lanes that you kind of want to be watching through, will be that middle doorway, which is very easy to funnel them through. And if you control this, you can kind of crossfire them and funnel them through the front too. You have a lot of head glitches. You have the statues over here. You have the trucks over here. You have the top window over here that you can do a lot of damage by funneling them through an open kind of field this way or a small little doorway. And even if you take this route and you kind of start influencing this, they're not going to always spawn out depending on how much influence you have in the front. So if we let this play out right now, and you were just going to see kind of what is going on with the kills that are going down. So the blue team's getting some kills right now, and you were just going to see a lot of middle spawns. They're not really influenced anywhere, so the middle spawn is just going to kind of happen, especially since there's some teammates on this side. And as kills go down, you can see that number 7 starts to get pushed up over here, but number 3 just spawns a little bit farther to the right towards that dirt alley, and nothing's going to change. So it is very, very hard to break this hill. This is considered a money hill on Vault, and a lot of people would probably agree with that. And yeah, so this is the hill you really want to make sure you rotate to and you really soak. And you can just see when you are on this hill how easy it is to really just control and soak at the time. The more and more kills that you get, if you do not get into the back of their spawn and actually block, like, you know, this side dirt alley in the back, it is very hard to spawn them out. If you don't spawn them out, it is very hard to get time on that hill. All right, and for the final in-game scenario on P4, you're going to see that I'm trying to kind of get through the gap right here and see if I can play a spawn kill as we're trying to kind of break this hill. We get into the hill, but I do get into the back, and now once I'm in the back of this hill, I'm kind of influencing them to spawn out kind of parallel with my team, depending on what is going on. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit around and kind of sit back here, which I probably could have in this scenario, but regardless, I'm not going to sit around and sit back here because I see a kill in the hill, and I'm trying to collapse onto this hill and break it and maybe even hold it from the front. So as I kind of push through this front right now, I get a free kill because they didn't really call out the spawns properly and stuff. But as you can notice, all my teammates are still spawning heavily front. So as I walk through this back door and I start to kind of fight into this hill, a lot of the kills that we just got potentially could spawn literally right behind me and kind of flank me through this door. So I have to be careful as I'm running up this hill. I get this kill and I immediately turn around and I go for this next kill behind me because I notice that on my mini map, I have all of my teammates still coming through front, even though I'm in the back. So the most likely they are either spawning parallel with each other, which it doesn't look like so. And as I kind of entered the hill, they spawn right behind me. So I have to get in, get kills, and then kind of turn and get ready for another gunfight immediately, which I do. But what happens next? Yeah, I stop shooting like a dumbass and I die. But the awareness was there. I can't guarantee you that the gunny will be all the time, but that is going to wrap it up for Vault. Hopefully that helps you understand this map. let's move on to the next one. And we are going to be breaking down the next map, which will be Protocol. And now I'm going to try and keep this as more simple as possible. You kind of understand the arrows of, you know, as they push up there and their spawns are available, they are also possible. So we're going to try and speed it up a little bit because I don't really want this video to be 2 hours long. I could do that for 2 hours if you really want, but that's more of a live stream thing that you guys should all tune in to my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Crowder. But regardless of that, going to Protocol, we are on P1 right now. You're going to see that the hardpoint is over here, and the main spawns are going to be on the back side of Grandma's, which we call this side the Grandma's area. This is going to be P2, so this is the Grandma's side. And then this is going to be ammo or P3 and the back P3 spawn. So you have your back P3 spawns and your back over by the back Grandma spawns over here. So as we let this play, you're going to see these arrows kind of just be going through the map. And as people start to push up and spawns are getting to, you know, become more open, you are going to see some spawns flip and things get weird, of course. And that's where communication and minimap awareness is going to matter a lot. Because as you can tell, we have red arrows kind of pushed up into this P3 ammo area. We have no one on this side of the map, not even in the Grandma's main house building. So there is a good chance of a potential flip. That potential flip is going to be cause a pinch, which it can be definitely hard to hold that. If you do not recognize this, you can see that the red arrows kind of get an idea of like what's going on. So that's definitely good communication there. But the more that you play and the more you get better at reading the minimap, even especially in ranked play where communication is not always going to be there, as you guys all know, you definitely really want to understand where you are pushing and what that's going to influence and where your teammates are and, you know, where the other enemies are going to be. So this one's very, very simple. You kind of have your two sides of the map, and depending whether or not you're pushed up past into their house or not will kind of make the spawns make more sense to you, hopefully. So the main lanes you really, really want to cut off on this are going to be this lower staircase if they're coming from the ammo side, this lower staircase in this lane. And if it's the other side, you obviously want to get your side Grandmas in that bottom Grandma's window. Your top houses are going to be like kind of your overlook where you can look over everything. And then this middle lane right here in these bottom doorways, there's going to be a lot of action. Where you're not going to see too much action on a P1 is going to be like this lower boat area towards the P2. You'll start seeing more action down there, kind of towards, you know, when P2 is about to pop because people are rotating to that. So a lot of your action is going to be through these middle areas and these corners in the guns. You're going to be able to cut off a lot of lanes from playing these like wider off angles. And the more you know the spawns, the more you know that if you are in their house, but your teammates are coming off spawn, they're not going to be influenced. These guys would be blocking it, so you can do some pretty nasty spawn kills. So back to the in-game scenario, we're going to run this play right here. This is on a P1. I'm spawning on the back of the Grandma side right here, so I do know that most likely the enemy team is going to be spawning behind ammo, back P3. So what I want to do in a scenario right now is hopefully not die by the guy top house because we just saw someone up there and he's kind of shooting right now. You can kind of see that. If I can cut off either this lane or the whole entire front of the house, this lower right lane isn't too much of an issue. They can go underground and pinch to your houses and stuff like that. That is always going to be a potential where you can drop down and pinch the rope. You can kind of go underground and pinch the rope in the Grandma's house. But what I'm trying to do is kind of get to the action as fast as possible. So where I'm going to go is going to be like this front area right here. So I'm going to work through the middle of the map. We know we just got 2 kills right there on the kill feed. We just got some more before. And as I get here, I have all of this front house and this lane locked in. So all my players on my team have to do is technically watch that staircase slide into the hill and stay down from the top house. There's basically nothing that the other team can do to get into this P1 outside if they were to do an underground pinch or a far right pinch, which would mean they took a long route, which could be considered a good play. So I missed some shots right there, but I'm able to, you know, make that guy really weak for an easy trade. And I'm still cutting off majority of this map by just sitting in the front. I'm not getting too many kills, but a lot of the times you're going to see that I'm able to help out the hill and be very useful when it comes to my teammates actually being able to soak time. And then this guy up here in the top rope with 19 seconds left, as he's sitting up there and getting kills, he's still not doing too much considering the fact that we are soaking the time. So I was able to kind of hold off that entire front push just by getting into that lane and just knowing the spawns that I didn't push too far. And you can also see that I'm so sure that I'm not flipping, not just because I know kind of where I'm influencing, but also my players off spawn on my minimap are all continuously spawning on this side. So most likely where I was in that front of the house, I am good to go to keep holding that lane and let my team soak that time. And now we know the P2 is going to be over here by the tower area of the map. There are going to be some different hotspots on this hardpoint, but this is a pretty simple hardpoint when it comes to spawns. You're going to have kind of the back rope, back Grandma's, or the back ammo side over here. That's going to be a pretty main spawn point. And the other spawn point is going to be the back Grandma side over on this side of the map right there, which is a pretty far spawn depending on you know, how much you can influence it. There is a closer spawn that you are available to get if you know, like the other team is kind of pushed back and you're not influencing it. You won't always spawn super deep, but at the basic level they will be coming from the back Grandma side over through the tower through the middle of the map or through grandma's, and then the other team will either be coming through the lower boat side or going through ammo and coming through the middle of the map as a general kind of idea. One thing to look out for on the P2, especially with the rotations to P3 and just how this map can be played, the underground spiral pinch is going to be through right here. You're going to see that number 7 is actually not top middle right now. He's on the bottom of the map, and he dropped down through the spiral staircase. You can push through and then either go up big door and climb this ladder. You can push through, go through big door and go to the side staircase, or you can actually push through and pinch their side and then climb up and do the zip up to their side building, and you can get really mixy that way. So this underground lane is a very underrated lane, a very sneaky lane when it comes to P2 on, you know, trying how to break out of a spawn trap and stuff, just so you're not always running through the open middle of the map all the time. But as we let it play, you're just going to look at the spawns and just see the general hotspots of what you really need to look for. So a lot of the blue arrows just drop here, and as they kind of drop, you're going to see that the blue arrows are now going to be spawning pretty deep on the grandma side, and they have some choices to make. Do they want to go through the left side of the map and through middle? Do they want to go through flood through tower, or do they want to go through this middle area here? They can also do the rope drop if they wanted to and go underground and then kind of come out the big door, but you can see that number 6 is even kind of looking for that by looking for middle too. At a higher level, a lot of things are kind of, you know, hard to get by some of the top players, especially at that iridescent rank and stuff like that. But it is going to be as simple as that. When you were playing P2, the main power spots are going to be the front of the house, the side of the, like the side in front of the house in the middle, the lower lane of this boat area, or of course the back tower. And then make sure you are keeping an eye on that underground. Put it as simple as possible for that P2. Now let's talk about an in-game scenario. And back to the in-game scenarios here, you're going to see that I'm coming off a spawn on a P2 right now. And now that we just talked about the spawn points, I spawned on the back grandma side. So most likely they are coming from the back ammo side. And they can either take that lower boat route to P2 and just obviously pressure that hill. They can go through the middle of the map and play a lot of top middle control. And what I need to do is kind of get myself to the hill right now. I'm just going to try and smash the hill. I'm going to wait a little bit because some of my teammates just died. And I'm kind of just waiting to see if I see anything. I don't see anything. And this is where I kind of, you know, decide to make my move to the hill and probably take a 50-50 gunfight if I can win it. And as I slide and I get this kill right here, this guy's got his back turned. He was trusting his teammates. I gun them both. And now if you pause it right here, there is 3 kills in the kill feed. And one of our players just died. And if you look at the mini map, we're not really too far back on the grandma side anymore. And we're not really too far pushed up, but we do have some influence on their side. So I'm not too sure where they are going to be spawning yet, especially with no communication or what people are watching. It can get a little bit weird. The last guy on their team is middle, who has just killed our guy named Tickle Monster. So if you let this play right now, and as this is going on, I'm waiting. I'm kind of hoping that they're spawning on this side. I'm taking a guess. But as soon as I see this spawn right here, that kind of confirms it in my head. Okay, most likely they have all spawned on this side of the map. Maybe one got a split spawn, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to simplify it. They are probably going to play through mid. A lot of the times when you get that kind of rope spawn, that deep rope spawn behind ammo, you're not just all going to funnel through the boat just because you can kind of get crossfired from top mid too. So I start saying they're going to play through mid. They're going to play through mid. So I immediately know where to look. I throw this trophy down and I'm able to pre-aim, and that guy that just came off spawn, I'm able to know exactly where the action is and get another free kill before I get taken out of that hill. Now we're on P3 of protocol, and the main spawns that you're going to be looking for are going to be the back ammo spawn, which is going to be the back of the hill spawn. It's going to be kind of like back here and then the back middle. And then you're going to have a closer middle spawn that you can definitely get on the grandma side of things, or it's going to be like the back grandma's doorway over here, and that's going to be your 2 main spawns, depending on how far you either push up front or if you were blocking the back. The influences and everything can get a little bit weird. So as you kind of let this run through, this one is going to be playing pretty simple. No one's too far pushed up on the red arrows really, and no one's too far, you know, pushed up on the blue. As you can kind of see, the closer, you know, arrows get, number 4 does get around, but he doesn't get all the way around the back to kind of like, you know, put some angles on that spawn or some actual lines of sight. Number 5 still kind of gets that back spawn, which he's able to protect it for like one more life here. And then as the kills go down, you see that middle spawn I was just talking about kind of happens. And this is just going to be a very standard look of a P3 of what you really want to lock down. So when you were also looking at this map, the biggest power spots that you really want to worry about is it's going to be this area right here, this P1 gun. A lot of people are going to spawn here and try and take these routes through the left. This middle lane is also very important. And then I would say like your secondary that you have to kind of worry about would be like the left or the lower spiral pinch through the spiral staircases. You also just notice right there as the red arrow started like kind of pushing up and abandoning this back spawn and going underground to the P4, which is going to be underground here. That number 2 did spawn behind them. And of course, you know, it kind of makes sense that they got so far pushed up on this side of the map with this not being blocked, that the flip did happen. So it can definitely happen depending on how far you are back here. If you're not really on these back staircases or towards this back door, there's a good chance that you will flip if you were super far pushed up, but that is besides the point. Let's show you an in-game scenario and move to the final hill of Protocol. All right, we're going to change it up just a little bit for the scenario. Instead of it just being a hold of just knowing exactly where to look at to get kills, it's, you know, self-explanatory. If I'm spawning on this side of the map, they're going to be top house. They're going to be looking at those power spots. A big thing here is like around the 20-second mark, I need to kind of start thinking about going for new. If I just run through the top middle of the map, most likely I'm going to die kind of just pressuring this P3. It's a very hard hill to break. It's considered a money hill to most people as well. So if you let this play, you're going to see that I make the decision. I'm probably going to run across here and just go to the new hill. My teammates are dying as well. And as I kind of get here, I'm trying to hopefully get here first, because if I get here first, I'm able to get some kills if they're dropping down spiral. And the reason why I'm going to start aiming in and being aware that they're going to be spiral is because of that lane that I was just talking about on the P3 that is important. It is very important towards the end of the P3 going to P4, because the P4 is going to be right behind me at this underground area. So I rotate here. I'm hoping that I get here first and I kind of pre-aim up. I slide up, I get a kill, and now I kind of know like where the other people are going to go for, and I'm able to kind of pre-aim and find myself in some action to get some more kills. Obviously, I'm not going to get that third one, but to kind of guarantee myself a free 2 kills right there off of a break or a rotational scenario, I just put myself in a position where I can rotate early and also get those kills too, and know exactly where I was going to look for. After I get that first kill, I slide back and look at the big door. Most likely, if they're getting that back left spawn, they're either going to hit through the back left, or if they have top middle control, they're going to drop down big door and obviously try to get to that hill. And now for this final hill of Protocol, I will say this is the most annoying hill, or kind of weird hill to understand, because a lot of the minimap is going to look a little weird. Everything is happening underground. It is not going to be above ground here. It's going to be in that underground area in the S&D bomb site too. The main spawn points are going to be back ammo and back grandma, so back over here and also back over here. And then your main lanes that you're really going to have to worry about will be through technically top middle. They can do a top middle pinch where they run through top middle and then they pinch your either your spiral or your zip line, or the route will be through the top middle to this big door. So like this boat area is going to be a pretty hot spot. Through top middle is going to be a hot spot too. But overall, my best advice in a ranked play scenario in this is just going to be hill pressure on this hill is very important, because no matter where they are spawning, if you are in this hill, you have head glitches to watch the big door, and you have obviously off angles to make them slide in while they are not really knowing exactly where you are from either the zip line drop down or again the spiral staircase. So this is going to just play out. You're going to see the spawns are pretty consistent in the sense of just how they work. You have this back grandma spawn, and then the back ammo spawn. A lot of the times, the back ammo spawn is going to run through spiral, drop down and get into the hill, or again, they're going to run through middle map or left side and get to the big door. That's going to be their main entrance to the hill. And if you're spawning back here, you'll either run through tower and slide the big door this way, or you will run through and drop down to the zip line there as well. It's going to be pretty symmetrical in the sense of how people get to this hill. You're just going to have a lot of crazy fights on this map when it just comes to trading and all of that. And of course, if you're kind of going through the tower, you have to worry about people over here, or make sure you're controlling through top middle if they are, you know, trying to drop down through your big door. But this is going to be more of a hill where you just want to be in it. And if you were in it there first, that's also kind of why I rotated on that P3 to that P4. If you were there first and you're able to just get kills, you'll get a lot of freebies by being on those head glitches and playing those off angles as well. You can even push up into the spiral, or you can push over towards the zip line and let people drop down. As they drop down, they take a little bit of fall damage. It should be a pretty easy kill for you as well. And for a quick in-game scenario on this P4, I'm just going to show you something short and sweet. When you spawn onto this hill, you're going to see that which side you are on the spawns. If I'm spawning on this side, I do see some of my teammates over here. The minimap is very small, so this one can be a little bit more confusing. That's why I was kind of recommending just kind of getting to the hill and just getting into the action is probably going to be your best bet in the sense of rank. This is, of course, more on the basic side, but you also have some people shooting kind of out towards the big door. So if I'm spawning on this side of the map, there is some weird kind of parallels where they could technically be getting an influence of some weird spawns, but most of the time, you really just want to make sure that you are getting to the action. So I spawn up here. I see some shots to my right. I see that my teammates are all low now. Now I know that they're all low and they're on this side. If I'm spawning on this side, most likely they're going to be coming from either through the middle, through spiral, or through down to the right this way. So I'm going to just kind of try and slide over here, get the person that is shooting, drop off, and get into the action immediately. So I kind of know, and that's why I kind of spawn up here and I look to the right. And then I notice that my teammate is over there now. So immediately when I see that, I'm going to turn around. There's now a guy on that side, so they spawn behind me. So depending on where your teammates are and what is going on, you are going to notice that that's where they're going to be coming from. You even see that practice guy right there, as I slide into that, look at that zip, he gets that kill that I was sliding for, and then I kind of go back this way to look that, and my other team drops that guy as well. So there's a lot of good ways to kind of understand where they're coming from, but I will say my recommendation on P4 and Protocol is to make sure you're finding your way in that hill as fast as possible and just understanding what side of that hill you kind of want to watch. It can definitely get confusing, though, in ranked play, so communication on that one is key. Depending on where you're spawning is going to be the other side of what you want to watch. So that is the spawns on Protocol. Those are some in-game scenarios. It's a pretty basic map. I didn't want to spend too much time on the basic hardpoints for that one. Let's move on to the next map. Now we are on Rewind Hardpoint, and this is going to be a map with 5 hills, not just 4. And for this P1 right here, you're going to see that these arrows are just about to start getting some kills right now. This is the beginning of the game. And the main spawn points on this are going to be kind of like the 4 corners, depending on what you and the other team are influencing, as we've been talking about. It's going to be over here on this side, over here kind of towards the back P2 area. You're going to have something back here, and then over here to the left. And then depending on just like what is going on with where your teammates are and the other team is, you're going to see how the kind of spawns just go down. So right now the blue team gets some more kills. And you can see that weird split spawn does happen because this guy is pretty far pushed up over here on this side, kind of blocking like these 2 spawns. And then there is going to be a flip where they spawn behind him, even though 8 spawned over here. So this can be a very confusing hardpoint, depending on what you were kind of looking at. You have to be very clear of what you were pushing out. And of course, you have to be very aware of when you were spawning what to look at. So right now you can see that the red arrows are kind of like backed up playing like this side of P1, and they're trying to like not flip the spawns and spawn them in this deep left corner. If number 8 were to start pushing up a little bit and potentially not block as well, there would be a good chance that they start spawning us kind of towards like the back right or a little bit more towards the center. And that is just going to be your P1 spawns kind of in a nutshell. A lot of like that 4 corners, depending on what the influence is what you're going to see a lot. So you can see they're not spawning as deep right now because the red arrows are not as far pushed up on the P1. And also at the very end here too, you can see the parallel spawn come in. 8 spawns in over here on this corner of the map, and number 1 spawns parallel to this back right when P1 is still up with 1 second left. And that's because they're blocking the spawns by being pushed up pretty far on this P1 and kind of blocking where that red spawn is. So number 8 gets a split, but then he spawns in first, saying that now the blue team has nowhere else to spawn either than other over here, which is pretty close to the red arrows, or pretty far over here on the corner of the map. So parallel spawns on this hill do exist a lot, depending on how your team's pushing. In ranked play, it can definitely happen more than often because a lot of people don't really understand it. That's why they should be watching this guide. And now let's show you some in-game scenarios. All right, and for this in-game scenario, we're going to be using Asim's gameplay. He is a professional Call of Duty player. He's playing in the Challengers Cup right now. And this is even a better example of communication and just understanding the spawns even at a higher level, especially with someone that's even better at Call of Duty than I am. And it is going to be listening to the comms and the communication of exactly what you're about to see in this play. So P1 is just starting right here, and you can see that he's pushing up, you know, through the right side right now. He calls this out. He's kind of in this fight right now. He gets on top of the 18. He gets this kill, and immediately you're going to hear it in his voice and be like, oh, shit, like I got to kind of run back. I don't really want to try and flip them on the P2 side. My teammates just died, and you can see right here on the minimap, there's a lot of shooting kind of going on either in the middle of the map or kind of towards the other side of the map where you don't want them to be. So he immediately sprints back, and then listen to the communication here.
Shit. Double doors in lane. Double doors in lane.
Where'd you guys spawn? Where'd you guys spawn?
Right there, he says, where do you guys spawn? Where do you guys spawn? Right before they're about to spawn up, because as soon as they spawn, that is going to give him the indicator of where they're going to be. And now in ranked play, if you don't have the communication, you'll be looking at the minimap like we've been talking about in this video. But if you do have communication with your team, you should always be communicating where they're spawning, because as soon as they tell them where they're spawning, which is about to be over by the SWAT or the 18-wheeler, which is back over here, that is going to show that they're spawning on the other corner, kind of parallel to him, and he's going to be able to play these kills. So watch this.
I spawned SWAT. Or 18.
So there's the comm. He gets this 1 kill. And now he knows exactly that the kill that he just got is going to be probably spawning over this side because he has a lot of influence of his teammates over there. So he's going to be pushing through this side right here. You see he kind of looks for this spawn right now. He actually mistimes this, but in general, the knowledge of where they're coming from, you can see at a higher level. He is not going to be as unaware as some players, obviously, in lower level rank play, because he knows the spawns at a really, really good level by just watching VOD and, you know, studying this as much as possible. So he continues to play here. He gets this kill and then turns around, and you can see right here, there's going to be people that he just kind of got the kill on. That guy's going to come from that area of the map. So again, another great example of knowing where the spawns is always going to help you not get caught off guard as much and know exactly what you need to be looking at and cutting off to get yourself some more kills. Okay, so now for the P2 of Rewind, you're going to see that back here is going to be like one of the main spawns, especially as this calms down and kills start going down with trades. And then you're going to have that main courtyard spawn kind of over out here. And then depending on the influence, if they're going to go through the right side and try and block that, you know, they maybe you spawn out and flip behind them. But if they're spawning over there, then you might get a closer spawn just over by the P2. It's kind of a weird hill, but it is very, very basic. So if we click play here and we let these arrows just run through, you're going to see that right now the red arrows have that courtyard spawn. And as number 8 is kind of just getting closer and closer and like pushing this spawn, if they do draw some kills, they would have spawned them out. But since they don't, number 5 is going to continue to spawn over here. And you're going to see that any kill that goes down from the red team killing the blue arrows, you're going to see that the blue arrows are going to still spawn pretty close to this P2, which is definitely pretty OP when it comes to playing this P2 in general. So having this backspawn is really nice. if you're able to actually secure it and kind of hold it down. And then you can see that the blue arrows are able to just get a lot of time here by just holding it down and spawning the red team over on this courtyard over and over again, which is much farther from the hill than the other spawn. So you kind of can see which one you want to prefer here at a little bit more of an advanced level. And you can definitely see the lanes that you really want to lock down. If you don't want them to kind of pinch around you, you want to get through like the blue area and make sure you're kind of holding this middle and not letting them flip you. As well, though, the main lane is going to be through this P5 area and through this street. If you can kind of hold off the front push and make sure they're not pinching that back spawn out, every kill that you get, they're going to be spawning pretty deep. And then, of course, at the same time, that you can kind of secure that close back spawn, which is really, really nice. So a very simple hill for you guys on P2. Let's go to an in-game scenario and keep moving on. All right, now we're watching Asim's gameplay again for this P2. We're just going to let this one run. We're going to listen to some of the communication here, too, just in general. It's going to be really good comms of this team and just kind of, you know, playing this smart. Asim is pretty far pushed up right now, so if he is pretty far pushed up, there's a potential that he's kind of spawning them a little bit farther out to the left of that courtyard. And you're going to see right here as he spawns, you know, a little bit farther than this cop car, kind of in the middle of that courtyard spawn and the back spawn. Most likely that means the influence is that they're going to be over here, like kind of on this back right side of the map. And that is kind of probably because he pushed pretty far and got that kill as the spawns were going down. So it kind of pushed them a little bit off farther to the left. And with that being said, he knows exactly that he needs to turn around. He's going to say that I spawned out a little bit weird here, and he's going to go react and kind of try and go get those cutoff kills to make sure he can secure this back spawn. And that's exactly what he's about to do right here.
Sit time, laundry.
Can push out the cop
yeah.
on me. Back radio. Got him.
Nice, good
on you front. Stay down from front. Radio again.
Two radio.
And even though he ends up dying right there, you can see how aware he was of where he needed to look and exactly why he needed to look there from the minimap and the communication again of his teammates. Now, that's not the best example of getting kills from it, and you're not always going to be super successful, but the whole point of this guide is, of course, to make sure you are not getting caught off guard and you know where to look at all times to help you on that level of rank play so you start frying more. So in general, this is just another pretty good example of even if you do spawn weird and you don't spawn in your traditional back spawn and you don't spawn in your traditional front spawn in that courtyard, you can kind of get a grasp of where they're going to be coming from. And the more you kind of grasp that concept too, the more you'll definitely understand that these spawn points are where I should be spawning. If I spawn, you know, closer to the front, they're probably influencing that back left. And then you're going to find yourself making on the fly plays of just like really reacting to what's going on. Because of course, this game plays at a very fast pace and spawns can be a little bit crazy either way. It's not always going to be as simple as I am making it. So this is a good example of how you can kind of react off the fly sometimes as well. And now we're on the P3. For these P3 spawns, this is going to be very, very nice for this P3. This is a very demonic hill. If you were not in the right side of it or if you were just not in it first, you can kind of spawn trap on both ways. Specifically, you're going to have this back spawn in this street corner kind of next to this P4 over here. You're going to have like this street spawn, the back left corner spawn. You can also spawn out a little bit farther to the right, and then the other main spawn is going to be behind the burger area or back diner. And now, if you get spawn trapped in the back diner, it could be absolutely brutal. But at the same way, you can definitely spawn trap people in the back left corner over here by the street too if you play it right. So being in this hill first is very, very nice. But securing this back spawn is usually considered pretty good right now, especially in ranked, because you can kind of hold the P3 and trap them back burger. And if you're trapping them back burger and the P4 pops, they're going to be really far away from that P4, so you can kind of get that additional time as well. We're going to let these arrows play, and you can kind of just take a look at the spawns just so you can see it with your own eyes. You're going to have the red arrows spawning in this deep left pocket, the blue arrows kind of spawning in burger, and that is going to be your general spawns for this hill, to be honest with you. The more you push up, you can see number 5 here is kind of playing these cuts and being able to put some pressure on from the side as well. But yeah, with those spawns being said, a big lane or a big power spot is going to be this middle area on both sides. If you get to this middle area, you can kind of start cutting off this and make sure no one can slide to the hill. And it's the same thing over here. If you were in this, you can kind of cut off that. So this middle area is going to be really, really nice. But as well as being in this hill and spawn trapping them on either side is going to be also lovely. So now when you're playing this P3, you'll know where they're coming from. Let's give you an in-game scenario and keep it moving. And now we are on the P3 with Asim's gameplay again. And right before this life that he just spawned up on, he died to fame around the P5 generator area. So when he spawns up over here, kind of towards the back middle, he's going to take a decision to make sure he kills Fame, because if Fame does get through the left side and block the spawn as we were just talking about, he can flip them for the P4 spawn. And even though like Asim's team's doing really well right now, if they get flipped for this P3 and they lose that last 20 and then they get chained on the P4, this can be a comeback obviously waiting to happen. So he spawns up and he's calling out that he's looking for Fame. He might be courtyard, and you can see he runs into Fame right here. Fame's playing for the flip. This gunfight is really important, and as that gunfight gets won, if I pause it, you can see that his teammate just spawned in that back right corner again, at least securing the spawn for P4, even though they don't have hill time. And then as the kills kind of go down, you know now that they're all spawning in that back burger area, so he's going to be able to kind of pre-aim this mid-street and do some damage to people and just know exactly where to look at again as he's kind of playing for this middle. So the awareness of the spawn to get that kill was really smart. Just awareness to look at the middle street and put damage in that guy was really smart. And as you guys see, again, it comes from the spawn knowledge and awareness of where to look and also to prioritize your kills He goes for that left kill, make sure he can secure that back spawn. And now, even though they didn't get too much time on that P3, they're at least going to be able to obviously play for a P4. And now we are on this P4 in the minimap, and you're going to see that there's kind of 3 main spawns at the basic level here. You're going to have like your back, middle, or right spawn where you can kind of pick up this right pretty quickly. You're also going to have like a parallel spawn to that, which is going to be like over here in this area of the map if they are pushing the left. And they are also blocking the front, which is going to be like the spawn over here. Then you'll probably kind of get this like deeper pocket spawn. And then, of course, if you block both, they will spawn out behind you, which is going to be over here as the 3rd main spawn. So we're going to let these arrows play again, just so you guys can put your eyes to the mini-map to see exactly how these spawns are working. And you're going to see that the blue team's still spawning out front. And with this guy pressuring the right side, the red team is going to be spawning in that back left pocket area over here. So that's going to be your parallel spawns this way. And of course, your parallel spawn that way. And then the other spawn, if you're just kind of securing those, you will be getting them to spawn out front. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer on this one. This seems like a very simple hill, but there is a chance where if you do spawn out and you're blocking the front and your teammates are also spawning here, they can be getting a parallel spawn to you, which is going to be over here like we kind of just saw a little bit. It's not always going to be parallel to the same team, as it could be the opposite team that you're playing against actually spawning parallel to you. So once again, I am going to always make sure that you prioritize communicating spawns, communicate in rank play, and also really look at the minimap to see exactly what's going on. If you were to spawn in this corner of the map and you see that your teammates are also coming from here, you should realize that you kind of got a blessed spawn and you can play through around this back truck and probably fight someone off spawn and then make a play for the hill. So there are a bunch of different things you can do when it comes to the P4 of Rewind. Let's do the in-game scenario. And for the in-game scenario, this is a perfect situation of what I literally was just talking about. Asim is actually going to be spawning out here on the front, but he's going to have a lot of teammates still in the back. They were just previously spawning in the back. So as he is kind of pushing up this brick strip right here, he's spawning out front. His teammates are getting some kills here. So with these kills that his team is getting, and he's obviously going to be playing for the hill, if you were to pause it right here in this moment, now Asim is going to be weak here, so it's going to be a hard gunfight no matter how good you are. He should immediately know that these kills that they just got, they should be coming from either this doorway or the back bricks area, because they're probably still spawning in that back right with his teammates spawning out. His teammates should be relaying the information of, hey, I am still spawning front. They should still be back there on you guys, and you're going to see exactly what happens right now. He's kind of just trying to stay down while he is weak. And what do you know? One of the players on the enemy team is going to come through this doorway, and they're going to be challenging exactly where you kind of could have just guessed where they would be from right there just because of your spawn knowledge. He's going to die right there because he is weak. It's not going to be an easy kill, obviously, in that scenario. But again, you're going to kind of know what is going on. And then he gets this parallel spawn right here, and there are still people over there on his left. So this could be a simple hill, also a very confusing one, but just always try to train yourself to look at that mini-map. As I have been saying, let's move on to the last hill of Rewind and keep this guide moving. All right, now for this last and final hill of Rewind, you're going to have P5. It's going to be in this generators area, and you're going to have your closer courtyard spawns on like this side. You're going to have your closer cop car or P2 spawns on this side. You're also going to have like a little bit farther of a spawn out over here. And of course, it's going to be like kind of the same thing over here. And when you are playing this map, depending on how far you push up, there can be a lot of split spawns, because even though you're spawning over here or you're like on this side, someone were to say like push up on either the right side or through the middle of both of these spawns, there's a chance that someone spawns out kind of behind you right here. So you're going to see as the kills kind of go down right now where they are spawning. Number 5 is backed up a little bit, so they're still getting this spawn over here towards that back right close spawn, which makes a little bit of sense since no one's really pressured up. But as you can see, these red arrows are pushing up. The closer and closer that they get, they don't have as much of an influence at kind of back through this area over this way. So the blue team is going to get that spawn out, and the blue team gets that spawn out over here. And it's definitely going to be hard to read sometimes. So on this hill, again, this is going to be one of those hills that is going to be very, very mixy. You have to be very reactionary of what is going on when you were playing hardpoint on this, but you're going to let these spawns just run out a little bit more just so you can kind of get a better look. If you were going to take a guess here where number 5 is going to spawn, it's going to be a little bit weird, but it's going to be a deeper one. And the reason why you're going to get a deeper one is because they're kind of on both sides, either here and here. So he kind of gets that deeper spawn out this way, and then that kind of influences number spawn, the spawn over there. So every time you spawn up right now, if you were number 5, you would think potentially someone could be out here over this way or just on this side of the hill. And then most likely any of the kills that your teammates just got, they should be either spawning close over here or maybe far, but probably not since you got that deep spawn right there. You're going to see everyone spawning in. You're going to see that the red arrows are pretty consistent spawning out right there, and then the other team is getting that closer spawn. And yeah, it's going to be those main 4 spawn points, so make sure you are aware on no matter what side you are spawning on where they can definitely be, so you can know that the reason why you spawned in this spot is because of an enemy being in a certain place. Now let's move on to this last in-game scenario to finish up Rewind Hardpoint. And right here, you can see that Asim is going to be spawning on like the courtyard or the 18-wheeler spawn point over here. So again, if you were to, test yourself out, where the other team should be coming from. It looks like his teammates are not in the hill yet. They're just kind of bunched up over here. The minimap is also, you know, slightly hard to read. So with that information given, there could be someone potentially to his right, depending on how kills went down, but most likely not in this scenario. And then they should be coming from the closer spawn, either behind that P5 by the cop car, or maybe they're getting that deeper spawn where they're going to kind of just funnel through and still kind of play on that P2 green crate area. So as Asim spawns up right now, he's going to make his way. He does give it a little look to the right, just in case, so you can see the spawn awareness even coming in right there. And as he's playing, his teammates are getting kills. He knows that they're going to be coming from that side of the hill. He gets those 2 kills and is still aware that there should be one more on their side. So he is going to be able to slide and look at that doorway. You know, the power spot on this hill is going to be like these 2 main doorways. And then, of course, you have like your zig to that P5, which is going to be also pretty important. A lot of the times it's going to be anticipating which side they're coming from. And, of course, making sure you're watching that mid pinch so no one is pinching that courtyard or pinching that doorway or pinching that zig. So that 3-piece is going to come from that. He sees the 4th guy here. He's going for that 4th kill. And he now knows that he got that 4th kill. And now he's calling out that they were spawning laundry, which is what I call blue, which is going to be right out to the right too. So this is all really good spawn awareness and really good plays out of Asim right here to really put the enemy in front of him. So that's why he's kind of holding this, and he's super confident of where they're spawning. So he's going to be able to get these kills and put in even more damage in the enemy team. So that wraps it up for Rewind. And now let's move on to your next map. We have Skyline Hardpoint, only 4 hardpoints on this map, a very easy map, but a very fast-paced map. This map can be absolutely nuts. A very reactionary map. Knowing the spawns on this one is huge. So let's get into it, starting with this P1. You're going to have your arrows on the screen just like every other map that we've gone through already. And just know that the main spawns on this P1 are going to be this back right piano area over here. You can get a little bit more of a parallel spawn. It's not going to happen as much depending on the influence, as you guys all know. You have your bottom bedroom spawns are like back here in general, depending on how far the other team is pushed up on you. And then you can get a back stone stair spawn as well. So now knowing those spawns, watch the arrows on the map kind of just run around. You're going to see that 8 just dies right here. Probably going to spawn over here. Number 1 dies on this side. Probably going to get like this bedroom spawn in general over here, as you guys can see. It is pretty easy. Now, towards the end of this hill, you're going to see a scenario that's going to look a little bit weird. But in general, it's still going to be pretty normal to see, as 4 kind of gets pushed up right here, and number 1 is pushed up, and so is number 3. This back spawn is kind of open. Bottom bedroom spawn's obviously not as open, but this back spawn in general over here is open, and number 4 is kind of starting to really influence that number 3 and number 4 are starting to like get closer and closer to this area over here. So it's going to force that number 5 spawns behind them. And you can see now that number 5 spawns behind them. He's blocking like this bedroom spawn for the most part. And also he's blocking this, you know, parallel spawn here. So where number 2 is going to end up spawning is going to be on this side of the map, because number 6 is still too close to that. These guys were blocking both of these spawns, so that's where you're going to see that parallel spawn over by the pit area or the side P2 platform stairwell over here. That is where that spawn is going to happen. So, and as I've been saying, when you're looking at that mini-map, you can start to assess it more and more. So this is a pretty normal spawn system on this hill, but, you know, you can always kind of see like where the parallels kind of come in and what is going on this map at the more and more you play it. All of this in the game is going to happen at the speed of light. A Skyline on a ranked play where people are just banging out the hill and running it down. A lot of this is going to be like you kind of get those kills and immediately react and start pre-firing and looking at doorways and corners as fast as possible. You're going to see in these in-game scenarios for my gameplay how quickly this can really play. So right now I get this back left piano area spawn. So most likely they're probably spawning in like the back area of their bedroom. And when you start really thinking about where they can come from this way, they can either go through bottom bedroom, through this side, through that side over here. There's a doorway right there. They could technically hop up top platform or run top platform too. So those are going to be your hotspots there. And then they can also take the long route AS&D or kitchen. So as I spawn up, I'm going to take my assault rifle. I'm going to go to the piano staircase. I actually have one pinching me. And right there, you can see that even though I get that kill, I immediately kind of pre-fire my left because I know from where I spawned, there's a chance that someone is running up those stone stairs to play that top hallway. Now, there really wasn't anyone there, but you have to really make sure you are locked in on this map. And now I'm looking for the bedroom spawn. I'm looking at where these guys can be. I'm seeing that there's nothing there yet. I get my easy kill right there. There's someone shooting under me. I play for this guy under me, and then I'm going to slide back and start aiming towards the hill. And you're going to hear me actually say this in this moment right now. You can see that one of my teammates did push up pretty far. So right here, listen to my comms right here. We might flip them behind us with that guy pushing like that. So right now, I'm looking at the minimap. I say they might flip us because that guy is pushed up really far. I still give the right side or the right angle of just a peek just to see if I was wrong or right. I'm kind of like on the fence right now. I peek this angle. And I get shot in the back, and immediately I'm like, damn, yeah, one of my teammates spawned him out. So right there is something where I could have read where I could have slid and looked to the right, and if I saw nothing, look to the left. But in general, I was even kind of aware that I was about to get shot in the back if I'd turned that corner and there was nothing there. So yeah, you can see how quickly all of that played out, but that is P1. Let's move on to the next hill. All right, now for the P2 spawns is going to be very consistent, and it could be a little bit chaotic sometimes. I will be honest with you on this one. So you're going to have your like right side bedroom area spawns over here. You're going to have like your top stone and like bottom back stone staircase or like spawns over here. You will have a main spawn kind of behind the piano door, and you can also spawn a little bit farther out to the left, depending if they're, you know, kind of flooding through piano or flooding through this side. Maybe you'll get that back right spawn. These spawns are definitely easy to block if you are not blocking the bedroom spawns. If you start getting to kind of get pushed up and there's no one on your team influencing these spawns, if you do get kills and you draw that first blood, they would spawn in first, so they would probably spawn behind you a lot of the times too. You can flip out on this P2 pretty easily if not played right, so you have to make sure you are doing things quickly and collapsing on the hill quickly, because even if you do get kills sometimes, if you don't collapse quick enough, they might spawn behind you and kind of hit you with a flank. So as these arrows just kind of play out, the first kill that dies right here is going to be number 1. With this grid looking like this, he's probably going to spawn like over here. So he spawns over here at the stone steps. And now as the blue team starts to get pushed up more and more, they're starting to like kind of influence the area where the red arrows can spawn. And you can see they block like this area over here and definitely that area over there. And it is going to immediately flip out these players to all the way back bedroom, or it would be the stone stairs area too. So that was very well played out of those arrows to be able to kind of flip it out. And since those red arrows are still out on both sides of the map with those 2 pushed out spawns, number 3 kind of emergency spawns right here, even though number 7 was pretty close. Now, if those arrows are really far pushed up, then number 3 probably would have ended up spawning out there. So depending on where your team is spawning and the timing of the deaths, that'll be also a very big indicator whether or not you're going to get that spawn out or not. But keep letting these arrows play right now, and you're going to see the consistency of these spawns, so you kind of just know exactly what to look at. A big thing on this P2 would be looking at this left side piano staircase and really cutting that off. Of course, your top hallway if you can, and then this lower right side, a lot of people are going to try and flank through as well. So those are the arrows for your P2 mini-map. You're going to see that the red team is kind of getting killed right now, and as they start influencing the right, number 4 does start spawning up there, and you can see that he kind of gave it a little quick turnaround because he was worried that someone might have snuck through the right side too. So again, some spawn awareness even just by looking at the mini-map right there. And now that we're back on my gameplay, we're going to be watching the end of a P1, kind of going into my first life of P2 and just kind of how it looks. So right now I'm trying to rotate to the right of, P2 right now. I'm going to lower my voice a little bit. And I end up dying, so now I'm going to spawn in, and I spawned in on a P1 spawn still. So I still spawn on the P1 spawn where I spawn back right, so most likely they're going to be over on the back bedroom side of the P1 or maybe coming through the lower right side. So I'm going to push up into the hill to make sure that, I can kind of be the first person in the hill here. I see this guy right there. I see my teammate coming through the back door, so I immediately get that kill, and I know that since I spawned in the back of that P1, their P1 spawns, there's a very good chance that they are coming through the lower right area since my team was kind of all pushed up on that P1. So I immediately run over to the right, and I go to look over to the right side to make sure I can pick someone up. I catch someone over on my right side. He kills himself with a grenade, which I'm a little bit mind blown about, and I'm at first confused, but now I'm going to be able to run up, and now if I were to pause it right here and ask you where those guys just spawn, all the kills that we just got, with us blocking the back, you would be able to tell me now, all right, they either spawn in the back bedroom area or that's the back stone area. And that is exactly what I'm going to go do, is kind of go try to pick that up as fast as I can by looking at this top hallway, sliding through and making sure no one's playing top hall. I get that kill right there. And now I'm going to be making sure I can cut off all of the front by saying I have all of top bedroom, all of top hallway. They can only go either through bottom middle or through the lower right, which this guy is doing right now. He hit AS&D and he's behind my teammates. And this is going to lead me to get another kill of this guy just jumping into the middle of the map off of his spawn. So again, you can see after those kills kind of go down, the map awareness, I can guess where they're spawning, and I'm able to kind of push out a cut while my players are staying on the hill, and I'm able to slide through and get a 2-piece to kind of help my team soak up some time some more. We are now on P3 of Skyline, and you're going to see that the main spawn points are going to be over by the P2 platform or the side pit area right here, and then the back stone stairs area right here. And now a big power spot is going to be these 2 doorways. If you can kind of funnel them and have the crossfires, you can do really good spawn trapping on both sides. And as well as the top hallway, and of course the middle map long route pinch is going to be a very open area that you want to make sure people are playing through. A lot of people will play through the top hallway and then kind of do the drop down over here and here to try and sneak their way into the hill as well. So as these arrows are playing out, you're going to see that the more times these arrows die, where they're going to spawn. Right now, if I were to pause this with the influence of where the blue arrow should spawn that just died, they're still kind of blocking this side in this area. So most likely this blue arrow would spawn behind number 2. And you were going to see that exactly happens right there. And of course, there can be weird spawns if you kind of push through and block both sides. They might spawn out a little bit deeper, you know, on the other sides of the map. You can get a bottom bedroom spawn if you know you're pushed back this way, or you can obviously spawn a little bit farther. But most of the time on P3, this is an absolute bang out with also some middle control depending on how you are playing it. And you're going to see as all of these kills are just going down, the main spawns are just going to be pretty consistent here. And it's going to be one of those head smashing hills that you're just going to be running into absolute chaos. And then, of course, if you can kind of make your plays through middle and maybe flip the spawn or get a kill and try and drop in, you can do a lot of different crafty plays. But overall, you will know what side they were coming from by reading your minimap and seeing exactly where they should be spawning. So this one's pretty easy. I would say the one thing you don't really see here is if you end up pushing through, you can definitely spawn them instead of right here. You can spawn them a little bit deeper if you are blocking this side of the map or vice versa. And moving on to the gameplay portion, this is actually a perfect example right now. I'm trying to look for some kills, and you can actually see that the guy that just killed me is over here by the stone stairs. So I died to that guy, and he does not get traded right now. He gets another kill right now, so he's still alive on that side of the map. And that side of the map is actually right to my left where he was just shooting from. So I kind of get that pushed out farther spawn. But if I get that pushed out farther spawn, what does that mean? That means that on this side of the map over here, my teammates in the hill, my other teammates here, and one of them is dead, that there are people on this side of the map either pinching my teammates in the hill or going through the middle of the map and playing through the middle of the map. So when I spawn up, I have a decision to make whether or not I want to kind of go back and play for the stone stairs spawn. Do I want to cut middle and get straight to the hill to kind of help my teammates out if they are flooding? Or do I want to look to my right and cut off the middle of the map? So there's a bunch of different things I can do here. But again, right here when you spawn, I should immediately know. I know one guy's to my left, but it's only that one guy. They probably didn't spawn there because I'm spawning over here, which means they're probably on the other side of the map right now. So as I kind of run forward right here, I look right to my right. I have my pistol out, and it's going to get myself killed. But I should have been even a little bit quicker right there to read that spawn. And then if we want to watch one more, now I secure this stone stair spawn. We know people are in the middle of the map. So I'm going to kind of work through the top middle, make sure nothing's going too crazy over here. One of my teammates does spawn out on the other side of the map, so one of those guys could have kind of hit under me. So I'm looking around to see if I can find anything. I drop down to see if there's anyone there, and there is actually someone on the bottom bedroom. I kind of got lucky right there. And now with the kills that we just got, I got a little lucky. With my teammates coming from this side, I should know that they're either going to be spawning over here or in the back bedroom area, and they're going to start filling in top, middle, lower bedroom because the P4 is coming up next. And I'm going to kind of pre-aim over this and look for some kills. And as I turn that corner, there is 3 people there. I was aware. I was ready for it. It got me 1 kill. Obviously not 2, but I was still ready for a gunfight. Now for the final spawns of this map on P4, it can get a little crazy because you would think a hill as standard as this, you should just spawn in the back and they should spawn out. But really depending on how close you kind of pressure the back, and if you obviously get like a sneak around route right here where number 7 his skull is at, you can definitely block the spawns, and then you have like your main spawn over here to the right. You also have a spawn over here, which you can kind of go through the top hallway or jump down and go through the lower right too. So you have like the top spawn, this spawn over here, and some spawns over this way as well. And you kind of have the same thing. You can spawn like back middle. Sometimes you can spawn back right on this platform. It really just depends on the influence of where the enemies are coming from. But it doesn't play out as consistent as you would think in your head. Again, this is a very fast-paced map. A lot of the times you don't have too much time to think. And you're going to think like, oh, I should just be spawning in the back. But there can be someone that just slides through and gets like that peek on the line of sight. And they spawn you out. And there's a lot of parallel spawns that can also happen on this map, on this hill specifically. So you're just going to watch these arrows play out. It can be pretty basic too if you are absolutely frying. This is more of like a money hill, I would say, on this map. But just in general, how fast this plays, it's kind of also hard to have money hills. But right now, some kills go down and you can see one spawns out. But one spawns out, and as they're contesting these spawns, number 4 and number 7 are also both blocking the spawn, and with number 1 being here, no one on either team is really going to spawn in the back right now because that'd be a little bit ridiculous. Now, can it happen in Call of Duty? Of course, it's Call of Duty. But you will see that there is a parallel spawn where number 6 kind of just spawns parallel to number 1, and then number 3 also spawns parallel to. Finally, number 4 kind of spawns back here because no one was really pressuring that spawn, and it kind of calmed down a little bit. So you can see how these arrows kind of play out. There is that back spawn, but depending on how close the enemy team is pushed up, you can definitely get spawned out really quickly. So that's why map control and pushing out and cutting off people before they get close to your spawn point in this game is also very important, because if you don't do that and you let people get close, all the kills that they get will actually end up flipping you, and it can really kind of just hurt your overall goal of soaking up that time. You think you're doing yourself a service by getting these kills and like kind of holding the lane, but if you die or they even just get pushed up and one of your teammates dies, if you are letting him push your lane too far, you can actually get flipped that way too. So knowing when to kind of sit back and anchor, and also when to push up and cut is also a very big part of Hardpoint, and you can kind of see it on that P4 right there. So now for an in-game scenario to finish off Skyline Hardpoint, we have 16 seconds left in the P4. You can see that I am spawning in the back of P4. I have some teammates kind of pushed out a little bit farther past the P4 hill, so most likely they should be spawning on like that top spawn or the left spawn and kind of coming through this lower left or through the top middle hallway. And you're going to see that I'm also just going to go pressure the hill since there's 15 seconds left. My teammate gets 2 kills. I see this third guy right here. I'm going to challenge this guy right now. I get that kill, and the fourth guy kind of goes down. So right now I'm looking around to make sure they don't spawn behind me. I notice my teammates start spawning right there. So as soon as I see my teammates spawn behind me right here, I immediately know that they're probably spawning out in that deep right piano because my teammates have no influence over there on that back right spawn right now. They could be playing top wall or that lower left. So I get that kill in the hill, and I immediately kind of just slide out and challenge this right and catch this guy right off the spawn because I just knew that most likely that if they're spawning through the right and the P1's about to pop, he's going to be either running up this piano stairway to jump into this hill or rotate to that hill. So I kind of get myself an easy kill by centering that and kind of pushing through towards this rotation. And then I'm able to find myself actually in this P1 and get on this godlike head glitch to kind of secure myself some time with just like looking around. Now, there's a chance where someone can go through the underground. Now, this is a big thing on Hardpoint that I haven't said yet, and I probably should have said this earlier, but it just kind of popped in my head too. The underground pinch on every single hill on this map can be basically used. It is very annoying and very hard to watch. So in that bedroom area, the underground, or that zip line over by P2, you really have to make sure you are, of course, aware of the underground pinch, because that is kind of what this guy is going to do right there. He doesn't spawn behind us, but he spawned on this side, hit underground, comes up the bedroom, and he's about to shoot me right in the back. And that's exactly what he does just by doing that pinch. So right there, I could have been aware of that. That's more of a communication thing when you're playing ranked to say like, yo, make sure the underground is checked. But in general, you can see how the spawns work on Skyline. Hopefully this helps you on this map. We have one more map to go on this guide, and then you guys are ready for Ranked Play Hardpoint to absolutely dominate the competition. Let's go. All right, and for the final map, and hopefully this map is not in the rotation for very long. I think this is the worst map in almost COD competitive history. I hate this map, but at the end of the day, it is in the rotation, which means you must learn it to the best of your ability until it potentially gets taken out, hopefully for Hacienda. And of course, if Hacienda comes back in, we will 100% make a guide for that map so you guys can stay up to date. Redcard, we're going to kind of go through this as simple as possible. There is a lot of shit on this map, and it could get real weird, and this is probably the most confusing map for most of you guys watching. My biggest word of advice to you guys is to watch the arrows on this as much as possible. Really understand the spawns that are open and the influence that kind of goes along. And not just watching this video, but also watching more Codcaster, especially as league matches kind of start going up, and you can start getting the VOD of actual matches and stuff too. That is the best way to lock in even more and also see some more scenarios with your own eyes to kind of really kind of understand this one. But let's go into Redcard. You're going to have your main spawns of Redcard P1. There are 5 hills on this hardpoint. This is going to be the first one, P1. You're going to have a lot of spawn points over here on the back left. You can also kind of get like more pushed out towards the right. And it's going to be the same thing where you can kind of get a weird spawn over here and then a lot of spawns over on this side too of the P1. Controlling the street is really important just in general because the P2 is going to be over here. But let's just watch these arrows kind of go back and forth, get some trades, and see where everybody is spawning. So kills are about to go down. You're going to see that the red arrows start getting the kill right there. Number 1 is going to spawn probably back over this way. So he spawns there. There's no influence yet really on the map as this is just the start of the game. And now you're going to see a lot more kills kind of go down. And this is what I was talking about. The over here spawn and the kind of like the back right is going to be a lot of the spawns that happen on the P1. And then, of course, you saw the blue arrow spawn out over on the back left. So controlling the street and the statue is going to be pretty important. That mid-ticket booth area, too, is definitely really nice. And then, of course, towards the end of the P1, if you can make your way up this street and kind of start spawning them out or flipping them to where number 1 just spawned, you can potentially be able to control the P2 area of the map. But in general, no matter where you are, there are a lot of places and angles and head glitches that you can be shot from. So you really need to make sure your head is on a swivel on this map. And of course, let's show you some more in-game scenarios from Asim's gameplay, and we will keep it moving through this. All right, so right here, we have the in-game scenario of Asim's gameplay. He's going to be spawning on the lower left bar area, so you're going to know immediately where the other team should be, or depending obviously where they're pushed up. He gets a call out that they're their side ticket. He spawns behind them their side ticket, so he's going to be able to kind of flank and get this kill. He sees also someone on the minimap right to his right. So he's going to jump down. He's going to get this kill. He's going to kind of push through these doors and look for that second kill. After those kills go down, you can see that there is 3 dead on the feed of the other team. And now he's going to kind of have to guess where they're spawning. Now, if I wanted to pause this and take a, a little quiz for you guys, if there is one in the hill and you see people back here and also back here, where should they be spawning? It's kind of almost where he just spawned. So this is exactly what he's going to call out. They're going to spawn BS and D, and then they're in mid-ticket. So he knows exactly where that last guy was, and the rest of them are spawning BS and D, which means if I was to pause this right now, and you can see that his teammates are kind of on this side of the hill, they spawn BS and D, and the last guy's in ticket. Where do you think Asim should spawn? He should definitely spawn over here on the bus side, because they kind of just spawn behind him on that, and just in general they're controlling the street. So you can see how the spawns work. You can kind of understand that in the game you can kind of read the area and the general area of where they are coming from. Again, on Redcard it can get a little crazy, so having that general knowledge can really save you on a map like this if it does not somehow get vetoed. I've barely played this in ranked because it always gets vetoed anyway. Let's move over to the P2. All right, we now have a P2 up here, and the main spawns that you're really going to be looking at a P2 are going to be like in the trophy area, this back right cafe area, and then of course it's going to be like pushed out past the stage area over here where the blue arrows are. And if you are kind of blocking both, you can definitely get some parallel spawns on this hill, and it can be a little bit confusing. So definitely pay attention to where these arrows are about to start spawning. So right here, you can see that number 6 is starting to push up, so he kind of causes that flip, but they're also blocking this spawn, and it's getting contested. So you're going to see that number 8 kind of gets that parallel spawn, and this is where it can kind of get odd depending on what's going on. And of course, the parallel spawns are still happening because they are trying to rotate which P3 is going to be on this side. So you can see just kind of how the spawns are working and kind of the decisions that you really want to be making depending on what point of the hill you are on. If you were spawning in that parallel and there's about 50 seconds left, you could potentially pinch and try and collapse on the hill and try and soak it. Of course, if it is the rotational time and P3 is happening, sometimes you don't want to contest that because you want to make sure that you were spawning them as far away as P3 as possible, so you were able to get some easy points when that initial P3 pops if you can block the back. All right, so for the P2 game scenario, you're going to see that Asim just died coming from the bus stop side of this P2. You can see his teammates are kind of coming from that side as well. And now he gets this back cafe spawn behind them. He starts immediately spamming that he spawned behind them, which is kind of telling his teammates to kind of stay up. Please do not die. I actually got a blessed spawn. They might not expect this. I'm going to try and get this guy out of the hill. And right now he's just saying stay alive. I am pinching. So he's going to try and pinch this as quick as possible before these guys spawn up. He gives some call outs to this guy outer soccer. He doesn't see this guy. Now he finally gets this kill. He's able to get a second kill now. And now if you were to pause it right here, you can kind of take a guess of where they should be spawning. There's a lot of influence on this side of the map from the mini map. There is no influence on that side. They just got 2 or 3 kills. So all of those kills are now probably going to spawn behind him either in that trophy or that cafe area. So he immediately turns around and starts throwing his tacs and lethals over by this area of the map because he's kind of anticipating that they should be spawning out. So that is going to be all the spawn awareness from Asim here. He gets himself another kill. He's going to be aware of where they're going to be pushing from. And now he's just going to obviously play in the hill and kind of put his aimer and centering in the general direction of where they would be coming from to obviously play for that next fight until he finally gets taken down there. And now we're moving on to the P3 where you're going to have a bunch of arrows on your screen here. It's going to be the P3 in this little stairwell. You are really going to want to focus on this area of the map where there's going to be a pretty big spawn point right there. And then, of course, you're going to have the back area on this way, which you can kind of get pushed out to the back this way too. But as these kind of arrows just go down, you're going to see that there could be also split spawns where if you kind of get too far pushed up outer, that they can spawn behind you since there's no one really blocking this side of the map. But just in general, the way it works, yeah, you can see that there's no one really blocking this side of the map, although it kind of makes no sense that they probably should just hold this spawn. They don't, which kind of causes that flip, and then number 4 is going to be able to call out that they're spawning out behind them, and you can kind of just keep contesting this hill over and over. A big power position on this hill is going to be this outer area. This outer area is really good to control on the P3, and just in general, if you're in this hill, the stairwell head glitches and stuff, to kind of funnel them up the stairwell or the escalators to middle of the map is also going to be very important. But you can see this is a pretty basic kill. It can definitely get weird when pinches start going down and flips start going down, but overall, you kind of just have both sides of the hill. Depending where you're coming from, you should be able to read what you're looking for. All right, and now for the game scenario, we're going to be watching Asim kind of spawn in the back here. There's going to be a bunch of kills that kind of go down right here. Now, if I were to pause this and give you kind of a little bit of a pop quiz after you just saw that mini map, 3 dead on the feed for Asim's team. Where are they going to be spawning? He just spawned in the back. He's still kind of influencing this back spawn. No one on his team is really too far pushed up towards that side of the street. So if you were Asim right now, you would probably be guessing that they're getting that deeper left by that stage spawn, and you are going to be able to throw your tacs and lethals over that way and kind of just aim in that general direction. That's exactly what Asim's going to do. He's going to throw a stun and a grenade towards this side of the street, and now he's going to be able to kind of get into these gunfights with his sights up and being aware. Will he win that one? No, because he kind of got overwhelmed, but it's going to be the same thing. And then another scenario here, he kind of spawns out on a flip, which means all the kills that his teammates just got, they might be probably spawning in the back of the bank or the parking garage area. And that's going to kind of start them to rotate through the middle of the map towards this P4 or the stage hill. For this stage hill or the P4 hill, a big spawn point is going to be over here by the bus area and where number 5 is. And then, of course, back here where number 2 is going to be also another pretty big spawn point. And it's going to be pretty consistent until you start pinching them. And then you can kind of get your weird spawns, of course. But as you just let these arrows play out, you're going to see some of the kills kind of go down. A big power position that you really want to look forward on this map is going to be this middle area with these hedges and, of course, these middle doors. You kind of saw number 1 just make a pretty good pinch play to kind of flip the red team out over here. And then number 3 gets to spawn over this way. So now number 4 and number 3 are going to be kind of knowing exactly what they need to be looking at to help their teammates out. And then towards the rotational time, P5 is going to be over here on the left side of the map. So you kind of want to start cutting across the middle. So being in the middle of the map with teammates kind of getting kills, you will always have the decision whether or not you want to cut off this side or cut off that side, or of course kind of cut to the new hill as well. So middle is going to be a pretty big power position, and the spawns are going to be pretty simple on this P4 as they're just going to be back on this side or of course on the other side. So when you get those kills, you kind of know where to throw your tacks and nades and where to obviously have your gun up at all times. And now for this game scenario, this is not going to be a scenario where ASIM is getting too many kills or really running into too many gunfights, but I want you guys to listen to the comms and just listen to his spawn awareness just off of the kills that are kind of going down in the feed and reading the mini map. So ready? We're going to play this through and we're just going to listen here for a second. Right now he's just looking for some kills. They get 2 dead, 3 dead, 4 dead. So 4 dead in the feed right now. ASIM is going to analyze the minimap and see that he has a teammate pretty deep in this spawn, which is going to be the main spawn over there. And then he has a teammate a little bit closer to him on this side. So most likely the influence of the minimap is going to kind of probably spawn them either at that back left cafe or that trophy area, which he's going to call double windows, which is that side double windows hop. And he's immediately going to start spamming to his teammates where they are coming from. So listen up.
4. They're spawning double windows, Mike. Spawning double windows.
Heard you. They can go mid. I have double windows already.
So right there, he's going to be able to call out where they are spawning just by being on the hill and analyzing the minimap. And he was absolutely spot on of where they were going to be coming from with 37 seconds left. So he puts himself now on this side of the hill to kind of play it a little bit safe. So his teammates are going to be able to help him out. And especially if they contest the hill, he can kind of back off. Use this teammate over here on the minimap and himself to kind of get that double chow going. So as we let this play, he's going to kind of put himself a little bit back. He knows that he's pretty safe right now. He's playing on this side of the hill, and he knows exactly what he needs to be looking at right now. So he's playing this really well. Although it just seems like he's kind of sitting down and staying down, he's still playing this really smart where he's going to be able to obviously help his team out and kind of just stay alive as long as he can on this hill while always knowing where they're coming from. So very good comms out of him and very good hill play out of ASIM right there. And for the final hill of Redcard and this hardpoint guide, you have P5, which is going to be at the cameras or the stands over here. The main spawns are very simple on this one. They're going to be over by the back bank area and like by the bottom escalators. And then you're going to also have like the S&D or the bar or the club, and then a little bit farther pushed out to the right sometimes as well. This hill is going to be very much of a face smash where depending on what you're trying to control, you're going to be trying to control like this lobby cut area. Of course, you're going to want to control these outer stands and try to control the top like middle ticket booth. And then also playing through middle and ticket booth is always going to be a big play too if you're trying to perform a pinch or a break. But you were seeing as these arrows are spawning up right now, number 8 got a little bit more of a farther right spawn, and then the other arrows are spawning over here towards the bar. And then the blue arrows are just going to be spawning in the back bank and either cutting through the stairwell, going through middle and playing through lobby cut, or going through middle and playing through the ticket booth. So you will kind of now know what you really need to be looking at while P5 is up. And then, of course, with P1 kind of popping in the middle of the map again, when you are rotating, you're probably going to want to try and take a route through the right side of the street to kind of control the statue, the middle doorways, and then the middle of the map to kind of control that P1. So for this last scenario, I'm going to kind of give you a quiz as well as just show what ASIM is probably thinking in these moments. But right here, ASIM comes off spawn. There's 29 seconds left, and Major Maniac gets 1 kill. He has a teammate kind of pushed up here, which is going to be Major, and then he has his other 2 teammates here. So they have no middle map presence right now, and now he can technically bang out the hill and play for that, but he can get crossfired from ticket, and no one on this team really has that ticket one. They call out someone take a mid route to go get some mid control, so he says, I will do it. Now, as he's pushing up, look, that's 1 kill, 2 kills. Rat gets this 3rd, and then the 4th guy is shooting right here. So now if I were to pause this and ask you the question after what I just showed you on the P5, you have 2 teammates kind of in the club and BS&D area, and Major's not very far pushed up. He's in P5. Nothing influencing their side. Where are those 3 guys going to spawn? You should be able to answer probably their side bank. Now, if you say their side bank, there's 2 routes that they can take. Where would they take them? probably either up the escalators or that back left stairwell. So right now what his teammates should be looking for is probably taking a fight at that lobby cut or the back left stairwell. And of course, if you can get pushed out far enough, you can obviously, you know, fight the escalators too. No one on this map right now is really close enough to that unless Asim gets that kill and immediately kind of pushes that. So Asim is about to go try and take this fight in the middle right now. And I want you to pay attention not to really this gunfight because we knew this guy was here, but where these next two players on the other team are going to actually shoot. And you're going to see right here in a second that they are shooting from the back left area. And if you guessed that right, you were spot on. So if you were any of the players on the team, you can kind of put yourself in a position to iron that back left stairwell or that lobby cut to get easy kills. So the more you start reading the minimap and the more you understand the actual spawn points and where they are, the better and better you'll get at reading the spawns. And then I promise you, if you keep watching CDL matches and looking at those arrows in that minimap, the more you will kind of understand and get even more of an in-game understanding of what you need to be looking at. So hopefully this guide helped you get better at hardpoint in any kind of way. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the hardpoint guide. All 5 hardpoints in one video for you. This was a long one. I appreciate you rocking with me. If you enjoyed the video, again, please subscribe to the content. We have a lot of ranked play guides, a lot of Warzone stuff coming to you, and anything Call of Duty tips or tricks. I am your guy for this year. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you rocking with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.